Hey fan peeps, this is your podcast host Kunal here. I started this during the pandemic, and in this podcast I discuss my nerdy thoughts and hobbies with you, with the occasional special guest. From anime to Zeppelins, we talk about it all.
Alexa, office lights to 25%.
You trust Alexa?
Alexa, office lights to 50%. Google's doing some adjustments on its own. Do I trust Alexa? It depends what you mean. You know what I mean? Like I think there's different levels to trust in the first place anyways, right?
I mean, it makes you sound like you're in the next generation's like you're talking to computer lights.
Yeah. Oh, dude. The moment I can give it a fake name, yeah, absolutely. I think you can already adjust their name, can't you?
I think you can, and I read on Twitter that someone did that, and they were so excited, and they were Star Trek fans like both of us. By the way, hi guys, this is my podcast. We're just doing a cold open at this point. They did that, and they called a computer, but then it just like fucking caused this firestorm because in the way that like the computer got confused, and he would say, "Oh yeah, I'm on my computer right now," and then like it would chime on, so it wouldn't know when he was like talking about his computer as opposed to like just using his computer. And he's like, it got too frustrating, and I just stopped. I changed the name after that. I was like, that's pretty fun.
I feel bad for the people whose names have been co-opted by pop culture.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Alexa, I mean, sure.
Alexa's a big one, right? Thankfully, no one's named Google, and no one's named Siri, right?
Not yet, at least. Yeah,
not yet. But then we have like the culture's co-opted names like Karen and Chad, right? And these people were just living normal lives.
Like Karen did like, at least the Karens that I've met, did nothing to nobody, and then just like a bunch of terrible Karens had to come in and ruin it for everybody.
It is strange like that. Yeah, it's like I don't think I know anyone who's really messed up the name on my behalf. I know a lot more douchey like Stephanie's. You know, can we take a number 2 on some Stephanie's?
Way to go, Steph.
Yeah, right.
I actually like I can't believe I'm gonna tell this story online, but I dated a girl who was from India, and she was great. Like, she was very good. She was very like kind. It just didn't. There was no spark at the end of the day, so we parted on good terms. But I asked her on like one of the following dates because she was really just easy to talk to. I go like, "Hey, I got a question for you," and she's like, "Yeah, what's up?" And I go like, "Is Kunal a fuckboy name in India?"
These are the questions, bro. These are the questions. What'd you say?
And she had the same reaction you did, and she was like, "No, you're fine." She's like, it's common, but it's not a fuckboy name. So I'm like, thank God.
She's like, Kunal definitely picked me up in Uber rickshaw recently. When I was,
he was super guy, like,
super guy. Kept all 3 of those wheels on the ground, like a
zoomed
pro.
in and out. Even gave me his like gamer tag. Dude was dope. God. Like, this is the best. But I'll never forget that because it had bothered me for like years. And I only asked this girl this question, I think, I think maybe a year and a half ago. So it's very new in my world to have that. So anyhow, with that glorious cold open, we just got to start now. I got a good buddy of mine that I've met through a bit of a goofy like story of how we became friends in the first place. His name is Andrew Diaz. Andrew, shout out to yourself.
Yo, shout out to me.
Shout out to you. You know, that's how we shout it out. And let me reel everybody in for how this happened. So basically, like, it was the end of 2018, I think beginning of 2019, and a lot of my friends have kind of moved away and stuff like that. And personally, I've always had trouble finding, and this is gonna get a little personal, but like I've always had trouble finding men who were very like okay with being vulnerable and okay with being just like emotional around me. And I was like, oh fuck it, I'll just search it on Meetups and see what I get. And I found this one, and we're gonna leave the name out just for for everybody. It's just like, we're not here to bash, but we will tell some weird stuff that happened. And it was centered around kind of the theme of men expressing their emotions. And I was like, fantastic, great. And I join up and I go to one of the events, and I run into you there. And we definitely had like a vibe going on the first time we met. From what I noticed, like, you were a huge Star Trek fan. I showed you my classic Star Trek photo of meeting Kirk and Spock when I was like 14. And then I got like a weird science infection, so I lost touch with the group. And then the pandemic hit, and then I got in. Then I heard everything went digital, so we were on Slack for a long time.
Right.
And then that's where the weird shit happened.
Oh, absolutely. That's where I would say it kind of went like nuclear. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
There's something about when people go from being in person to being online, where I guess it's that social barrier kind of dissolves, right? And like
Yes.
people just seem to think that they can let out whatever they have that's far past healthy discussion. So
Yes.
for context, what we're talking about is the red pill thing, right?
Yeah. And
Okay.
it was just like anything that any philosopher starts. Oftentimes it's co-opted by people who then turn it on its head and like, no, this is what it meant the entire time. And this is basically what we're talking, the Reddit red pill, like the
Right.
idea of the Reddit red pill.
And it's funny. Is it Reddit red pill we're talking about, or is it another red pill? That's the thing about all of these
like a different
ideology things that you get. It's like you have a million different flavors of it. So this group, this men's group, it was actually not a bad group. You know, let's talk about the good real quick. I don't want to jump straight into dunking on them about the red pill thing. We'll talk about that in a sec. But the group means well. The group was mostly a lot of middle-aged.
That's why I'm protecting their name, because they did mean well.
Yeah. Yeah,
and they still do, from what like they're still active, and they still mean 100%. Well. And there were good people I met there that I talked to that day. Yeah. And this is not the entirety of that group. This is just like a section of that group that just got real weird real quick. So we want to make that completely clear. There's no bad blood between us. I love that sticker, by the way. Don't be stupid.
Sorry, you caught me drinking out of my Philip DeFranco cup. The don't be stupid.
Oh, yeah. you got filled in.
Get that merch.
Hell
Get that merch. Yeah, okay. I got my fiance that emotionally exhausted, Pooh Bear shirt.
Oh,
I want to get the one with the 3 hearts, like the Zelda hearts. You know what I mean? Link hearts. That'd be tight.
Did you hear about the origins of like Winnie the Pooh were like far more fucked up than you would ever imagine?
I heard there's a horror movie coming out.
I did hear about that. I did hear about that, and I was like, wow. But apparently, like Winnie the Pooh, like I read way too many cracked articles, and apparently the earlier versions of him was just like Pooh Bear being just a toxic character, just would shit on everybody, especially Piglet. And it was
really,
yeah.
Like, as in he was he talked shit, like he was like dunking on people. I mean, he's a glutton, right? I mean, he's a glutton. The story of Winnie the Pooh is a glutton. I mean, all of the characters have severe faults. None of them are moderate characters in the slightest.
They're just kind of like toned down for children, essentially.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't even know if I would call them toned down for children. I would just say that Winnie the Pooh characters represent some of like the most eccentric versions of characteristics you would find in a person, wrapped up in a cartoon image.
Yeah. But before we lose sight, let's backtrack to the point, because I will go on tangents forever if I don't do that. No doubt. So let's talk about the group a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So the group is great. I mean, we met in there, like you said, it was like 2018, 2019. I also kind of have always struggled with like making friends with men who are, I would call themselves emotionally available. I stray away from the term vulnerable, right? Like I would use the term available just because exactly. It's a trust thing. It's like, I'm not vulnerable if I trust you. I'm just being here. I'm available, right? So this group means well. It's the thing that happens though is that you don't find a lot of guys seeking that kind of thing out around our age, right? I'm 30 now.
I just turned dirty 30 myself, my friend.
All right, see what I mean? So this isn't like a conversation that I think most people tend to have, and so they would look for groups, and 9 times out of 10, whoever's listening, if you look up a group right now in your local area, you'll probably find that it's like 50 to 60-year-old men.
Yeah,
that's just the truth of the matter. But they're all sweethearts.
They are
all sweethearts.
They really are.
And we promote things like discussing what's going on in each other's lives, the difficulties we face in our personal lives, not necessarily even as men, just things we're going through, right? So the group wasn't so much men focused so much as we are men looking for other men in that case, right? It wasn't about men's rights, men's this, men's that.
Yeah, it was not a meninist organization. I was very worried about that when I was like, is this a fucking meninist thing? Like,
what's going on here? Especially when you find these things on the internet, it's like the odds are not in your favor, Kat.
No, like so 100%.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
We just did the Hunger Games salute for those who are listening on the air.
If I could whistle, I'd have done it. But
I can't.
I can't whistle for shit.
Oh.
So COVID hits, right?
Yes.
I've made a lot of friends in this group so far, and every once in a while, a young guy like you pops up in the group, which is great because then I'm just like my people, right? Someone I'll actually go out and have a beer with afterwards.
Solidarity.
Yeah, exactly. And when it went virtual and everything stopped hanging out in person, everyone shifted. And what was really popping in COVID? Documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like Tiger King, freaking just the whole scorched earth of documentaries, right? Like that took everyone by storm. Another documentary that came out, whether it was out in the middle of the pandemic or a little before that, was the Red Pill documentary. Do you remember that documentary?
I do remember hearing about it. Tiger King overshadowed it, but I do remember it coming out. And the moment I saw it, I'm like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
So the reason you said fuck no is because you're on the internet, right?
Like not even that much, but I know it enough to be like, it's a hot lava, stay away. Like it's a radioactive lava. It's not even just lava. Like just stay away.
Yeah. Now, for those not in the know, red pill is a pretty interesting phrase for men's rights. We're super minimizing at this point what it's about.
Right? We're very oversimplifying. Yeah.
We're very much oversimplifying. But by the time our group, this Slack channel that we were in with this men's group, someone mentioned that they watched the documentary and they thought it was inspiring to them listening to this documentary talk about men's rights and the things that men suffer from in the United States, which is a very valid conversation. I will not I won't disparage that bad things happen to
there are definitely things that we're conditioned to do and act and whatnot. To say what they're oppressed though is
I don't know
the right term.
I don't know if that's what the documentary says. And I think oppression shows itself in a lot of different ways. You can be
that's fair.
You can have oppression in a certain area but not elsewhere, right? You can have privilege in one place but have oppression
I agree very much with that. Like you can have
nuance.
Like there's like privilege I have as a male, privileges I often have as like an Indian male too. There's just I don't have the white privilege.
Get a taxi like that, bro.
I can I don't even have to flag them down. They just can sense me. Like just know I'm on my way.
Right. So to get back to the point, I don't want to disparage the idea of that there are things men suffer from in this country, that there are injustices on all kinds of groups, men included. But big old asterisk here, the online community of Red Pill, the subreddit Red Pill, which is where inevitably most people who started with the Red Pill movement kind of wound up finding themselves in, that Reddit community is a cesspool. I can't even say for sure if it ever once had an inkling of talking about men's rights and their struggles without simultaneously in same sentences disparaging women. And you don't have to do those two things. You can easily just say that a lot of workplace deaths are men without saying, and it wouldn't be that way if women would just show up. It's like you don't have to do that. That's not the cause and effect. But this is that reductionist mentality where they take a very complex idea like this and they reduce it to black and white, that binary, that men versus women. And I was already so worried, just like you were, right? I mean, I was already so worried that group was going to be that before I met them.
Like we both were very worried about that. I was actually very pleasantly surprised it wasn't going there because none of them were stone-faced when I met them. They were they had just the utmost kindness on their faces. They were happy to shake hands and talk to you. Right. Which is why it was so surprising when it happened.
So, there's this idea, and here's where the balance of it kind of teeters to this isn't going in the right direction. It's fine to talk about your experience and you're a man and talk about the injustices you face, right? Because you're talking from a personal perspective, not about the idea, right? You're talking about your experiences. But when people start talking about the idea first instead of their experiences, we're not talking about this in the right way anymore, right? It's like
we're kind of just masturbating in terms of intellectualism, which is why I have a lot of problems with a lot of the big name podcasters. Like I mentioned a couple episodes, like Rogan does that, and I'm like, dude, you're talking about trans rights and not having any trans people in the room, and you're reaching millions upon millions of people. Like you can't. It's one thing if you're doing it with friends. It's another thing to do it on such a big platform like that. It's just different.
Well, he's had a few trans guests on for sure. At least I know he's had comedian Eddie Izzard on there before. Eddie Izzard.
Sorry. Yeah.
And even like the Flagrant 2 podcast with Andrew Schultz, I know just had a trans female porn star on there. Okay. Daisy something. Amazing episode
that's awesome.
where like they had a real dialogue
of what was going on.
And it was great. But the big point with the whole red pill thing, just to bring it back, is when we start talking about ideas instead of personal experiences, we lose sight of the fact that, we're talking about us first. You know what I mean? Instead of the theoretical they. And in an online area where all you see is text chatter back and forth, there's no body language, there's none of that other communication. You can just get so one-track minded. So somebody in the group says, I just watched this documentary, and asked the admin, they said, I'd like to have a room dedicated for it so we can talk more about it. And it's like, we talk about men's rights in this group every day based on our lives and what we're doing and how we're feeling. We don't have to make a room labeled red pill, because our experiences are about living life as men. Our experiences are about sharing emotions as men, or all of that. Why do you have to make this room named red pill?
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, like, I feel like the Matrix, it comes from the Matrix. Right? Yeah. It comes from the Matrix of like taking
used to stand for Republicans. Actually.
I didn't know that. That makes a lot of sense though. But it's just like you take the red pill and your mind is awakened, et cetera, et cetera. So you're freeing yourself in that way. And I think that just became such a, popular and powerful icon for it that, like, we should totally have a red pill. We should totally jack into the jack out of the Matrix and everything, man.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, there was definitely a part of the right. I'm a political idiot, so don't listen to me on this at all. But I could have sworn that the origin of people co-opting red pill online was to use it for framing conservative talking points. And then it evolved at some point into men's rights. But even that alone would showcase how quickly these things change into something you don't recognize. So you can't make a room called red pill and then expect someone new to come into the group and think that that is what you think it is. Because the documentary talks about legitimate problems that men are suffering through. It does. But the Reddit community takes those problems, strawmans them, and then blames them on women.
Right.
Which is a big problem. So I'm just like, let's have these talks without that. And the admins of that group felt that I was being unreasonable.
I saw your messages on there. You were not being unreasonable. You were trying to be. Once I saw it going down that path, I was like, I am pulling out. I just pun intended, pulling straight out, man. And I saw it, and you were like, no, how about we try to keep this a little like out of politics and more secular. Well, maybe not secular is the wrong word, but like more neutral in that aspect, because like we don't want this to be. We want this to be inclusive. We don't want this to be necessarily becoming exclusive for all spectrum people that are here.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if I made a room called Democrats in there.
That'd be weird.
Like, that's kind of strange, right?
Yeah.
That's really weird. If I made it, but at the same time, then you have these conversations where it's like, well, what if I made a room called feminists in here? Well, it's like, well, again, why? Like, I honestly just, there's no need for this. We can talk about the things that promote women. We can talk about the things that reinforce all the good things that we're supposed to be doing, diversity-wise, without needing to create this space. We can just talk it. We can just have that talk. It's part of everything. It's part of news. You can just, But so they felt I was being unreasonable, and I actually remember where I was. I was at a wedding, believe it or not. When this.
Oh my God!
I was actually writing that whole conversation as I was putting my suit on. I was just so mad.
Oh my God.
To be honest, let me rephrase that. I want to like make this really clear.
Sure.
I wasn't mad so much as I was heartbroken, dude.
Yeah.
Heartbroken. Because
just, like,
even though
surprised that you had to do this, like,
yeah, man.
Like you're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to lose this connection. Like, I'm just so disappointed in everything. No, I hear you.
Yeah. Because nowadays everyone wants to say they're mad about something really fast. I can't say I was mad. It definitely just sucked to know I'm gonna have to drop or dilute my interventions in these connections, because I just won't subject myself to it for too long. Yeah. And that sucks, because COVID isolation right after, right? So that was like in June of 20, this whole conversation.
Yeah, it was in the summer.
and you and I hadn't talked for a while.
Yeah, we stayed like so when that happened, I was like, well, this is going south. I didn't have your phone number per se, so but I had all of like your other social media stuff. And so I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna stay in whatever contact I can with you.
Yeah.
And I did. And then after most of like or at least a good chunk of 20, like maybe a couple of years, maybe a couple months later.
Couple months. It feels like years.
It feels like years because the past 3 years have just been like the hyperbolic time chamber. Like it just fucking it never fucking ends here, man. Like 3 days is like maybe 60 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
And I remember like I messaged you and then we started like, we met up once or twice and then then you decided to do what a lot of people do when groups kind of go a different direction. You start your own.
Yeah, exactly. You got to start your own group. I mean, so we met on Meetup initially. And what was your experience with like going to the majority of Meetup events? Can you tell me just like what it was like
for you? In terms of the group that we're in now or the groups
just groups in general.
Groups in general.
Yeah.
I like, people are usually pretty kind. Everyone was pretty welcoming. No one was really exclusive. Nothing too crazy, nothing that really stood out. It was actually a very typically for me in my experiences, typically a welcoming thing to happen. It was kind of awkward because people are like don't know you, they don't know anybody there, and so it's kind of like very civil and polite, and can kind of be for some people off-putting because it's like it's hard to get to know people, but you just keep on coming back and it'll work itself out.
That's the hopes, right? Is that right. you go, hopefully the people aren't as awkward as you because otherwise nothing's going to get done.
Exactly.
Right. I don't mean you specifically.
No, you mean like one.
You're a beautiful gem.
Thank you. Right back at you. You're like a shiny quartz. I love it.
Yeah, but it's like you hope that everyone isn't as like nervous as you are. Oh, but they will be because we're all strangers. But and so when that happens, you look to someone, the coordinator of the event, to hopefully like help everybody gel, right? I mean, that's what a host does. So my biggest issue, I started going out to more Meetup groups like 2021, right?
Right. So, vaccines out, so things people are starting to open up a little out.
Exactly.
Right.
I had started going to some a little bit before that and realized this wasn't worth the risk because every time I would go to an event, there was either too many people for me to really find a place to start a conversation and start to get to know people, or and this was the worst, people would like flake out and not show up.
It's
the craziest thing. Anyone out there who's listening right now, if you've been to a Meetup event and nobody showed up, my next beer, your next beer is on me if I ever catch it, because that sucks. That feeling sucks. So in my frustration, I figured I'd do something I've never done, which is make my own Meetup group. And for context, I've never really put together any kind of organizations at all. No Facebook groups, no high school, college, clubs, nothing like that.
Gotcha.
I made a Meetup group for transplants in the St. Louis metro area.
You're welcome to plug it if you want.
Oh, sure. Please. It's just called, I think what is it called? The
STL Propellers.
STL Propellers. It's been a minute. I'm sorry. It's been a minute. I haven't done it in a while, and I'll explain why in a minute. But
that is true. We have taken it's not stopped, but we have changed a little bit.
It's a sabbatical a little bit, and the focus changed up a little bit. But here's what I did. Here's what I did. If anyone out there wants to make a Meetup group, you can have tons of ways to make it successful. Okay. But here's the thing you have to understand if you're listening right now and you're thinking, I think I want to do a Meetup group because I don't have good experiences in other ones. If you are hosting an event, your responsibility is to the people who arrive. You kind of have to put yourself in the back seat and act as the person who's going to help all these other people gel together. And by doing so, you're going to start making them have connections with each other. And by proxy, they'll see that you're the guy or the gal or the they who always gets the thing together, who's like, this is the person who's like, they always know what's going on in the city. They always have these great, cool event ideas, etc. So your responsibility as a host is to the guest first. So I said, I'm going to make a group. I am interested in meeting people and learning about them. I won't talk as much. I'll just ask about them. And I want to get people's feedback about how they feel about living in St. Louis because I love it here. I want to get people's experience from where they came from, You know what I mean? We got a mutual friend from Singapore. That's a crazy place to get some information from.
Absolutely nuts.
You know, so that's one of the things I did, was try to make sure that I put the guests who attended first when they came to my events. The second thing, and this is one that people can kind of do of their own volition or not, I purposefully made my events very small. I don't know if you remember that, but we would only have
maybe 10 people, maybe
less,
like at the most
6 to 8 max.
Okay, 6 to 8.
6 to 8 max. And I'll tell you why. I would go to a Meetup group event, and if anyone else listening, you already know that the most common one you're going to go to is like at a brewery or something, or a restaurant, you know, something where you can have a big wide table, everybody can order food and drink, and you can just talk.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that you get FOMO, dude. You can be present somewhere and still get FOMO. How does that happen?
Just too many people, too much stimuli is not a good thing either.
Too much stimuli.
Yeah.
So if I'm at one end of a you know, very long table, and there's 18 people here, you know, social norms just kind of like these things just happen where all the good talkers tend to congregate by themselves.
And you tend to only talk to the people like in your direct vicinity, either right next to you or right in front of you.
Right.
And that's basically going to be your night. Honestly.
And people will shift around. People will shift around. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen it happen, but people will shift around to go where the entertainment is too.
Oh, definitely.
So if you and your immediate vicinity of people don't find them entertaining, or vice versa, they'll tune out of what's happening in the immediate vicinity, and they'll start checking into conversations down the table because they've got FOMO.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want that. Also, I can't host a group of, you know, 12 people and hope that everyone's feeling included.
Yeah. By the way, we need fear of missing out. In case you aren't next to a Google.
Oh, right.
Totally good. Fear of missing out. I know. You know, I heard the first place I heard that was like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's just like, really? I have immediate FOMO, and I'm like, what is this? So I had to look it up.
Cool.
If you haven't watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you need to do it. If you know, you know.
Oh my God, so good.
It was so good.
Well, so this group, we took it from Meetup. We had these events that would come up. I would host every single one of them, 6 to 8 people. I would call places ahead of time to find out if they had seating for us, because again, it was COVID times.
Right.
And I was subscribed to like every local publication you could to know where events were. And I was just coming up with ideas of like, let's have a thing we can rally around in terms of an activity, and let's always have a place where we can unwind, whether it's before or after. The goal was always food activity or drink activity.
Plus you get time to digest, like, you know, literally, pun intended, you get time to digest what happened. Like, you get time to like, you know, that was really cool. We should have done that. We should have done this. Like, maybe next time we do this.
You know what? Here's a great example then of you know, a horrible event to do with a stranger is bowling.
Yeah, there's too much dead space.
Dude, there's so much dead space.
Yeah.
You can't have a conversational flow. First of all, there's no tables involved that really help a circular layout.
Like there's the bar stool, but like not really. Yeah.
But not really.
Yeah.
And then just when a conversation might be getting good, it's your frame. And if you're paying by the hour, forget about it. I'm telling you to go. You know, and then if you've got one a-hole in the group like me who's like got a bowling itch, I am desperate to bowl. You've got to bowl, dude, because I'm.
Do you have your own gloves and stuff too?
Yeah, fingerless.
Like the Ash Ketchum ones.
They're suede gloves, and I got my backwards. Real? Yeah, no, of course not. No, of course not. I do have bowling shoes.
Okay, that I believe that.
I have my own bowling shoes and my own bowling ball. But you know, so this meetup group, this format we did, this small 6 to 8 people, this back-to-back kind of event thing that we would do in a single day. And of course that we created a Discord to all connect on, and you can find that Discord on Discord. It's called Provellers, STL Provellers on Discord.
And we'll put it in the show notes too. So we'll take care of you. Yeah.
Appreciate you. Totally. That started to get a lot of popularity, man. And to the point where I couldn't really even manage it on my own. I was doing like 3 or 4 events a week myself.
Yeah. It was pretty nuts. Like, and then you were like, please. You keep on saying this throughout, like when we were like meeting up and everything. Is like, you know, I'm not an A or B or even a C mic, and I'm like, dude, you're hosting all the events. How are you not the top, like, quote unquote DJ and mic in this group? But I get that because you tend to be more of like, here's something to facilitate stuff and to do stuff on, where you're trying to deputize people. Like I know I'm deputized in it right now to lead up groups and everything. And I've got some ideas, but like you said, like it's hard to do it just when it's just one person running it. Like this should be something that's kind of formal enough to be informal and led by other people, I would think. But yeah, so like what's going on with it now?
Yeah, so what's going on with it now is I met a lot of fantastic people through it. I mean, at its peak, the group had 250 members, and that took only 3 months. We had about 60 events in 3 months. That's insane when you consider that I was at the 100% of them, hosting them.
That's pretty nuts.
And I have a fiance.
Yeah.
and like, you know, I've got obligations, right?
And
like everyone else. And well, at the time I had a dog too. Exactly. You know, I mean, now I have another dog, but point taken.
Yeah.
So now what's happening with it is I started to prioritize. People would ask me all the time, they said, why did you start that group? And the genuine answer I would always have for them, they'd laugh, I'd laugh, but it's the truth. I'd be like, bro, I was very depressed.
Like, dude, like that's super cool of you to say it. I mean, like we all like that. Like hell, man, this is the reason I started this podcast. Like I was bored and depressed out of my mind, and Lance was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm like, okay, fuck it, let's record.
Yeah, let's record. Fuck it. And it helps, right? It helps you kind of get those things off your chest. It helps scratch the itch that you have, right? Whatever that was for you, which seemingly is just having conversations with people.
Honestly, right? and then also just the fact that for years, people, well, not for years and years, but for a couple of years, people have told me like, you should start a podcast. Like you have a lot of like weird experiences and stuff that you could say. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I do. And it took at least 3 or 4 people to be like, yeah, you should do this. You only need this equipment. And you're done.
Yeah.
I was like,
well, you have a great radio voice, if I'm being honest.
Thank you very much. It's very, I have great. It took me a long time to be okay with it. Because
hearing yourself on mic is strange.
It's so weird. I'm like, how the fuck can they take that motherfucker seriously? Like, like sometimes I notice that people like hearing me talk, which is really vain and egotistic, but fuck it, I don't care. And I hear myself in recordings and I'm like, how does anyone? Well, how? Yeah, it's weird. Like you hear your voice in recording. It's odd. Thank you though. It means a lot.
Yeah, man. No doubt. So the group started because I was really depressed. The main source of my depression came from social isolation, as with everyone else during COVID. I'm not special on that one. But, you know, I've also always felt much closer with a small group of people than a large group, hence the 6 to 8. And after doing 60 events, I mean, I realized that the people I cared to follow up with at this point, I kind of met them all. And I started to wean myself off of making new events, boiled it back down to like 1 a week, which is crazy. And then I started just trying to put more intent behind reaching out to the people who I really loved hanging out with and talking with in that group. That's you included.
Thanks, brother.
You and I and like 6 other people.
Yeah, I like to call them the hidden Provel members. The hidden. It's like the off the menu kind of thing you order.
Off the menu. We're the Mick Gangbang of the Provelers group.
I was gonna say secret menu, not that fucking dark, but okay.
You don't remember? No, that's a great bird. That's a great. You never had the Mick Gangbang?
No.
The Mick Gangbang is you go to McDonald's and you get. Don't laugh. This is serious business.
No, it's not.
Yeah, the McGangbang, brother. We're the McGangbang of the Provelers. That's the best way I can put it.
I mean, I don't remember hearing about that.
It's the secret menu. It's the secret menu, bro. It's I think it's 2 beef patties and a McChicken in the center.
Okay. The only thing I've heard about is like 1, the secret menu, and 2, like the Travis Scott thing.
The Travis Scott? I know he did commercials for them.
Yeah, and then the only reason I know that is because there was a guy from Iron Chef years and years ago. Well, not years and years, but he was like when we were kids. His name was Susser, and he was a dick, utter dick. His son has since grown up, and you know they're he's successful and he's wealthy now, and his son runs his own YouTube channel, so he'll like bring home fast food and tell his dad to like, "Hey, can you make this like a gourmet meal?" So he'll take like McDonald's and just have like. Make a huge gourmet meal of it. It's really fun. I'll put it in the show notes. Like I found it just on a whim during the pandemic, and I'm like every once in a while, like because they mentioned the Travis Scott order left for McDonald's, and he's like, yeah, I like Travis Scott, and I'm like, okay, all right, this just gets wackier and wackier.
His dad
loves it.
His dad was at Astroworld, huh? No.
I guess so. He's bumping to it, man.
Yeah.
But he made like a really good meal. He did it with Popeyes. He did it with Qdoba. He did it with a bunch of different like foods. Anyhow,
I love a good struggle dish.
Yeah.
Let me just say, I love anyone who can take anything fast food and make it like a gourmet meal, or anyone who can take the 3 ingredients in my fridge and turn it into...
It looked beautiful. He took like General Tso's chicken and like made it from Panda.
Oh, that's from McDonald's? I was like, how, bro?
He did it for McDonald's. Yeah. Done it from a bunch of different restaurants. Anyhow.
That's awesome.
STL Proveller.
Yeah. So where we at with it is just that, like, I met the people... I met so many people. Hundreds of people.
Yeah. You have.
People came and went.
Honestly.
Yeah, we have, honestly. People came and went, and the group was somewhere around 250 when I left it. But after realizing I wanted to prioritize my energy into the people who I wanted to know more about, people like you and some of our other mutual friends, it was just, no problem. It was just time to make that a reality. So I slowly started to stop doing events. I tried to get other people to be leaders in it, to take on events on their own. But the truth of the matter is, soft skills are already such a hard thing for people to learn. Event hosting takes everything you know about soft skills and puts it to the test consistently throughout the entire thing.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah, it's difficult. There was a level of quality I wanted to maintain too, and also the rules of the whole thing, and to like the size of the group, because it was about the principles of how a meetup could foster more like intimate knowledge of one another if it was small. People weren't following it when I tried to set up leaders in it. It's tough, dude.
Yeah, and then like right when we had a big like New Year's event, and then right after that we had a surge in January, and then it was like mini early COVID for a bit. So I think that was also one of the reasons you've kind of pulled it down.
Yeah. Well, the New Year's party was dope.
It was fun. Like, it was a lot of fun.
worth the panic a little bit for those who attended. For anyone listening, everyone at the party was required to show proof of vaccination.
Yes.
Everybody.
We didn't
no exceptions. No exceptions.
You had to submit like previously.
Yeah, I had a very in-depth form about it. I had security measures. I did everything you could possibly do.
You did everything you could in your power. Yeah. Like there was nothing wrong. Like I'm fine. A couple of people did get sick, but I had a birthday thing that you showed up to later, actually. And the next morning, my friend calls me and is like, "Hey, I'm really sorry, but I tested positive this morning."
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? We went in and he felt horrible. And I'm like, dude, don't feel bad. Like we knew this was a risk. Everyone has been vaccinated out here. People did get sick, but it's not 2020. It's 2022 now.
Right,
we have more things to protect us. There were some people that did wear masks initially, and I was like, do you want me to wear a mask? And they're like, nah, it's fine. We'll just keep it on. I'm like, cool. Totally fine. Like you only can do what you can at this point, and we got to live life. Like I'm not saying be an idiot. I'm saying vaccines work. I'm saying masks work, but like, at this point, like do your best.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. That's what I'll
do
say.
Your best. No, exactly. Yeah. Be a responsible fucking human being.
Yes.
My fiance tested positive.
Yeah. We were going to do this in person, and then I'm like, we could have, but I'm seeing someone that comes in contact with someone who's immunocompromised. So I was like, let me keep it on the DL.
Yeah. And even if not, it's totally fine for you to not even have a reason to, and still just be secure for your own like personal well-being. You know what I mean? Like I'm negative.
Sure.
I tested today and I'm negative.
Right.
And I've been with her for several days now and I'm still negative.
It's like playing Russian roulette.
Yeah, it literally is.
Dude.
It literally is like playing Russian roulette.
It's just like, I feel like another Matrix reference. We were talking Matrix off the air, because why not? And like every time I dodge, like I guarantee you I'm going to catch it tomorrow every time I say this. But like every time I dodge it, it's just like that part where him and Trinity are trying to save Morpheus and they're on the rooftop and he's like, he's out of bullets. He's like, Trinity, Trinity. And he's just like, then he's dodging all those bullets.
Yeah. Bullet time is what they've coined it now, right? I mean, officially, canonically, it's called bullet time thanks to that fourth Matrix movie. There's something about that that's kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
Whenever a franchise takes stuff that people in the fandom came up with and turns it canon, it's like, I don't think you needed to do that. Like, if you watch Sonic the Hedgehog, which was fire, I don't care what anyone says.
Dude, that
for
was
a kid's movie, it was fire.
That was a fun fucking movie. Yeah. I loved it.
They have a reference to Big Chungus. Or not Big Chungus, that's not the right one.
The meme that the people like sprayed across the world? That meme?
The Sonic meme where he's like fat, right? Like there's a fat Sonic meme.
Yeah. I've definitely heard of it.
I don't remember what it is, but either which way, like someone, like a picture of that was in the movie when they were looking for Sonic, and they're like, Sonic's wanted. Some neighborhood hillbilly draws like their own stupid version of Sonic, and it's the meme. It's the meme, and it's like, you didn't have to do that.
like there's that. Although there's parts where it's done well.
Sure.
I will say, like the Spider-Man movie. Like they did a good job with it there. I felt No Way Home and whatnot, and also when they like Dragon Ball Super. I've only seen the clip. I haven't actually seen it, but
yeah.
They're playing baseball and Yamcha is playing with them, and he gets knocked, and they make him fall like the Yamcha meme. And every weeb that's our age just had their heart like explode with happiness, and we're dying just uncontrollably. It was so much fun.
It's actually strange that you bring that up. When someone brings up Dragon Ball Z, first of all, Tien is one of my favorite characters.
Ooh, Tien Shin Han.
Oh my god. But without diving too hard into that, I just want to say how strange it is that no one's ever made a Dragon Ball Z reference and talked to me about when Yamcha played baseball. It's one of the last things. It's like Dragon Ball Z, there was a point where it happens every arc where the story starts mad grounded. Yeah. Like it could be like Goku doing the lawn, Krillin's like putting pipe down on Android 18 or whatever, and then Gohan's in school, and then all of a sudden
stuff happens.
Yeah, and then normal life gone, everything eradicated 24/7, and you just forget about all the little mundane story beats that these characters had prior to being in the life or death battle.
That's one show I wish that had more filler. Like I normally don't like too much filler, but like if it's done right and it shows them in a good way, I'm totally fine with it. Like it's kind of fun for me to like see what the everyday life is for certain characters. Like Naruto did the problem of like having filler and then have it not relate to the story at all.
Right.
And in that way, I mean, like it doesn't, not say that even filler has to relate to the story, but just like it should add to the story.
Sure.
It should be a good addition, not a chaser. Mm-hmm. That's my thoughts on it.
Have you watched you know what, actually before I dive into that, let me just say that with Dragon Ball Z, the filler, they did it in a weird way. I don't know if they're the first ones to do this. It sure feels like it as far back as I can remember, but they felt like the first anime I remembered where the fights were also the filler.
Yes. And that was because of the animation delay.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, so that's the kind of like I mean, I haven't researched this, but I've talked to a lot of people who are in it, and specifically like a good example is like, we're never gonna finish the Ravel part, but whatever. It's like the the part where he's holding his spirit bomb.
Yeah,
is actually like this was actually more of an editing thing, but like they actually edited it, the violence and gore that was in that. So like for like that straight week where everyone like Lil Kanal tossed off his book bag and was watching Dragon Ball Z, like, and just Goku's still holding the spirit bomb. I know, adorable as fuck, right?
Yeah.
And so he's still holding the spirit bomb because they edited to change a bunch of stuff. To answer your question, like there's parts in the show where they just show them powering up because they had to wait for the manga to come out.
Yeah.
So the animation was quicker in that way to come out, and they're like, "Well, fuck, we gotta wait. Like we can't just like we gotta like."
Nah, let's Full Metal Alchemist this thing immediately. Let's Full Metal Alchemist immediately. Yo, you know what I just realized?
No.
I'm so serious. If Dragon Ball Z was real, and Goku was trying to charge a spirit bomb in 2022, 50% of the population would be like, why I gotta put my hands up for? We'd be fucking dead, bro. They'd be
I want to keep my hands down.
Yeah, exactly. I don't
it's
trust
my right
what
as
are they
an
doing
American.
with my energy. That's my energy, first of all. I don't trust these liberals with my energy. This is crazy. We would be fucking dead. We would be dead immediately.
It's my energy. I don't want to use. I'm like, dude, you're doing homework right now. You're gonna be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. God damn it.
But yeah, to wrap up Provelers.
Yeah, we're still tight. The group exists.
We're still around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The group exists. Come to our Discord. There are literally 200 plus people on there. They're talking all the time. We've got topics on like a million different things. Mm-hmm. It's a very welcome, opening community to everyone.
We've got a Weeb channel, so you're all set.
We got our Weeb channel. No, we got tons of channels for like literally everything. We do gaming nights, movie nights. We do in-person get-togethers.
Pickleball, tennis, like outdoor physical activities, more board night games. We do our own potluck Bollywood nights because like I was like, I grew up saw a couple of them. You grew up seeing a lot more than I did because your dad married in. But
Right.
I was like, yeah, I kind of always want to do that. And then I just threw like, everyone was like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome. And I'm like, we should potluck it, and we should just bring in stuff and kind of like make it a whole Saturday kind of event.
Oh yeah,
it's really so much fun. Indie movies are 3 hours long in the first place. Like Marvel has nothing on this shit.
Yeah, right.
So it's funny to me when they're like, oh, it's so long. I'm like, it is.
We do set up intermissions. Yeah,
we do. We like. It's not like we're not as hardcore. Like we will. Like there's certain cultural things I know, and certain cultural things that I like to call the Brown Coalition knows that we have to like kind of relay every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is going on? And like, so we do our best with that. It's a lot of fun. It ends up being like a whole day event, and it's just time to just sit down, goof off, have some really good food, and see that people could actually cook. Like COVID did one thing for our cooking skills, which like 100%.
Yeah, not my fiance's, but yeah.
Oh, well, so it's okay.
No,
it's okay.
All right, she watches. She's supportive.
Doesn't she make the chai, or you make the chai?
Are you asking if she heats up the water and then puts a bag in it? Is that what you're asking me?
Okay, I forgot that's how we make it. Okay, my bad. But it's dairy free, and I appreciate that.
It is.
So.
That's fair. Yeah, that's definitely fair. Yeah, now it's a more personal friendship thing. Look, if you come to the group, 250 plus people, you don't have to get to know all of them. A lot of people in that group have kind of made their little friendships and bounced. That's cool. It's all about making connections at the end of the day. That's
and
what
like
I love. That's
something that I've really learned. I was, running an improv group for a while, and I was running another group for a while. And definitely something I've noticed for retention rate. Whenever we had welcome week when I was in college, you get like, let's throw a number out there, 50 people put their stuff down. It's like, oh, I like anime. I like improv. I like doing all these things. They'll probably show up for the meeting itself. They'll probably show up about 40 people. Probably show up out of that 50. The next week is when it really gets cut down. It's like 10 or 15 show up.
Yeah.
And then months after that, I'm talking 6 months after that, maybe 2 people stick around.
Yeah.
So the more numbers you get, the more chances you have people staying, which sounds really dumb, but like, it doesn't matter like how many names you get down. The more names you get down, the better. You have to realize that whatever happens, people are just trying it out. And number 2, they'll stick around if they really like it. And those people you want to stick around. Yeah.
People will see their way out, I think, most of the time if they're any bit socially conscious.
Right. And if it's not their jam, it's not their jam.
Yeah.
Like, then they just move around. But like the goal is just getting names on the list.
100%. What's been strange though is that is that we haven't been able to go and see a Marvel movie together. That
is kind of nuts.
And there's been 3, and we haven't seen one together yet. So we had Shang-Chi come out.
Right.
I'm ignoring Black Widow. We had Shang-Chi come out.
Well, it came on stream too. So
yeah.
I caught it like a couple months ago because I was like, oh, this is fun. I'll just catch it.
It was fun.
It was all right.
It was fun. It was all right.
I have a huge crush on Yelena. But,
Same. No, I'm kidding.
Nux.
It's a proud coalition member of this. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen that, and there was another one that just
Black Widow, No Way Home, Doctor Strange. Yeah.
Doctor Strange.
And those last 2 really did not feel like they were tied to each other at all. I will say, I kind of thought I would catch something about No Way Home in Multiverse of Madness, but I didn't.
It definitely built on it, but they didn't do they did. They do have that throwaway line about Peter Parker. So this is going to be a spoiler part right here. Right?
Oh yeah,
so if you guys have not seen Doctor Strange 2, I don't know. I'll put it in the show notes where you can start again. But here you go. This is
go eat raw eggs if you haven't seen Doctor Strange 2 by now. It's May 28th when we're recording this.
20 days. Later,
you have no excuse anymore.
Yeah. What's funny is I'm actually seeing it again with somebody today who hadn't seen it yet. So I'll be ready again. It'll be interesting to see it a second time over because I feel like when I saw it the first time, it had just come out, and so people were a little more jazzed and a little more talkative when stuff happened, which is fine. Like honestly, I'm glad to just be around a certain amount of people these days. I definitely appreciate the more social settings.
Yeah,
within reason. But yeah. So tell me your thoughts. Give me your spiel on Doctor Strange 2.
Better than Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Really?
Yeah.
You liked it better than No Way Home.
And I have to tell you that's going to piss off a lot of people to hear that. But
that surprises me.
It's better.
Because I know you loved No Way Home.
I like it. When I first saw No Way Home, 10 out of 10.
Okay.
I rewatched it outside of a movie theater.
Mhm.
Dude, that movie's like a 6.5 at best.
There is something magical about seeing it opening or like near opening night.
Yeah, dude,
and
the experience.
There's something different about catching it like a couple months or some time that has passed afterwards. Mm-hmm. It's just not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same, especially when, and everybody who watches Marvel movies, I think, knows this, or at least will start recognizing this. Mm-hmm. They have a habit. Formula. I won't call it a habit. This I'd call a habit. Okay. Because the formula is more like the way they tell the story. Sure. This habit is more about the editing process. They often put in applause breaks and laughter breaks into the dialogue by way of silence and awkward looks. And when there isn't an audience and it's just you chilling at home, you're just like, why is this moment taking so long? I'm weirded out. You know what I mean?
Throws you off.
Yeah, it's a little uncanny, and there's a lot of like fan servicey jokes that are funny the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I still love them. They're like extra candy for me. So
no, they're definitely they're super cheese. They're super cheese, and I want all that cheese on my nachos. Like I'm super serious. I love it. I'm just saying that on its own, as a movie, it doesn't stand up very well. As a theatrical experience, it is a 10 out of 10 theatrical experience.
Oh, yes. That is true. Like, I think that leads to what you're talking about being like the formula. It's like they do a great job of keeping that kind of formula. And that's why Marvel has been killing it. It's like that's my qualm with DC is like, well, you guys, I actually like DC. I actually like some of the characters in there. Like, it's just every time they do it, they have to be different. So they try to make everything dark and gritty. And I'm like, you guys are losing everyone with that. Like, I tried watching the Snyder Cut, and I got halfway through it again. I was like, I'm depressed.
It's devastatingly.
I was so depressed, I had to like just go to sleep.
You know, I never finished it either.
Dude, like, everyone's like, it's amazing. I'm like, it's a little better, but it's way too drawn out. Like, I turned into Billy Madison. This is a bit of the sensibility doesn't age well, but it's like, today, Junior. Like, goddamn. Like
today, Junior. Oh my God, that's so funny.
No, thank you. Like, no offense to anyone who has a speech impediment. I'm like, fucking, let's go. Like, it's kind of my thing with the Batman, where it was like done well. I liked Edward Cullen when I heard he was gonna play.
I love that you just call him Edward Cullen.
Did I call him?
That's his character name. That's his character name, right? That's his Twilight.
Oh shit!
That's his Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
He has a name.
I forgot it.
Not all white guys are Edward Cullen.
Oh, this is news to me.
You need to know this.
But I can't believe I did that. That's hilarious. Robert Pattinson.
You're gonna catch all the smoke from 14-year-old girls online. Let me tell you.
Oh my God. I mean, like, hell, they loved him when he was like, for like my entire childhood. It was just Team Edward or Team Jacob, and it was always Team Edward. So 100%. Yeah. But yeah, like, he did a good job. I like what he did, but I was like, there's parts in the movie I'm like, can we get this going? Like, they could have shaved off like 45 minutes of that movie easily.
You think so? Of the Batman?
Of the Batman, yeah. For me, I was like, let's cut this part.
I disagree.
Okay, I want to hear it. Before we do that, let's finish up Marvel real quick.
Yeah. So Doctor Strange slapped. Okay. It was not like a 10 out of 10 theater experience. Actually, surprisingly enough, people weren't as hype in my theater for that one. But the movie was good. The movie was definitely good. Slow paced first act. With introducing America Chavez, with introducing, which I don't think they had to do for the second time, Doctor Strange and his relationship with Christine and why it's stressed and tumultuous as it is. It's like, we already got that in Doctor Strange 1, and we got that in What If. So if anyone's watching this, you're reintroducing this dynamic a third time. And I honestly don't need it.
No, like, even if you didn't see any of those, if you just saw Doctor Strange 1, like,
right, you would still have it.
Up that, like, that their relationship, like, okay, kind of, like, maybe like 50-50 they could have gotten together, but also like there was nothing there for really them to build.
He's always been in his own way. He's always been extremely ambitious and egotistical. Exactly. So he's his own enemy when it comes to getting the things he truly desires. Even in Strange 1, he was his own obstacle into tapping into that power that would help him regain the use of his hands, right? Like the Sorceress Supreme told him so. She's like, you got to stop thinking you know shit, right? So I felt like the first act hit a lot of the same beats that didn't even have to happen. Introducing America Chavez was really interesting. I wasn't sure what to make of it at first, but I felt like the whole first act was a little too plucky instead of like actually building on anything.
Yeah, it was slow. Like
Yeah.
the pacing of the movie, I think, could have been better.
Yeah.
I also feel that they poured way too much into one movie. This should have been, honestly, like...
You think a two-parter?
Either a two-parter, maybe not a two-parter, but definitely like a miniseries, because this was way too...
This could have been a miniseries.
This could have been a miniseries. It could have been a lot better, because this felt like I was reading a graphic novel of Doctor Strange.
I'll tell you what, though.
Yeah.
If I'd only seen the first arc of the movie, I'd have said, this should have been a miniseries. We could have fleshed this out better. The second and third act of the movie, oh my god, that's where I'm salivating, bro. It's delicious. Catnip. Okay. So first of all, I loved Wanda in every moment, no matter how irrational she was being.
That's the thing that bothered me. I'm like,
is it though?
Because we spent a whole miniseries talking about how you were dealing with your trauma, and then you go and you're like,
but she was corrupted.
You seem to have grown. But then you totally went back to doing what you were going to do, and sure, like the trauma wasn't fully resolved. Yeah. I agree with that, but like turning I felt it was like bad writing for her character. I thought.
I disagree.
Okay, go for it.
So the Darkhold is supposed to be the catalyst for her turning. The problem with this is that it requires that you watched a 3-second clip at the end of WandaVision, where she's at her cabin, astral projecting in her bedroom, reading the Darkhold, right? And if you didn't really watch that, and if you don't really know that book has corrupting powers, you wouldn't really understand the turn she's taken in the time it took her to master that book after WandaVision to the time we meet her in Multiverse of Madness. There was absolutely no context, man. It just kind of happened. It's a real progression. It's a sensible progression. It's realistic. It makes sense. But they just didn't tell you it was happening, so
they didn't hit it home enough.
Yeah,
for it to happen.
Agatha tells Wanda it corrupts you. You know.
Okay, that's actually interesting because my friend one of the friends that I saw it with reestablished the point that you're talking about. It's like, Agatha mentions, just like you're saying, this book is corrupting, and I fucking love it.
Yeah.
And I forgot that when I initially saw that part of that 3-second clip, I had kind of forgotten about that, and I was just thinking, okay, she's doing what Doctor Strange did in the first movie, astral projecting and soaking up knowledge faster and faster.
Now, you know what they could have done? This is such a strange throwback. You probably don't know about this because a lot of people don't know about this. Do you remember Too Fast, Too Furious? I'm so serious. There's a good tie in here. I promise on God.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
All right. So Fast and Furious 1 takes place in Los Angeles. Fast and Furious 2, Too Fast and Furious takes place in Miami, Florida.
Right.
And if you just start watching number 2, you'd be like, how's Brian in Florida? How the fuck did this happen? Why does he have this new car? Where's the Skyline or the Eclipse or whatever, right? So now he has a Skyline. Where's the Supra? You got questions, right? Like, how does he get a new car in the first fucking place? All of those questions are resolved if you buy the DVD. And the DVD I'm so serious. They have a 5-minute prelude.
Okay.
There's no dialogue. It's almost like a montage prelude. 5 minutes of showcasing what happens to Brian after he gives Vin Diesel's, the keys to his car and lets him get away. 5 minutes of showing him going across the country, basically with nothing, on the run from the cops, winning street races with a junker car, having his own little shop, basically Need for Speed plot, building up money to get to where he is, and then finally arriving in Miami, and then the start of Too Fast, Too Furious.
Okay.
Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, desperately needed a prelude for Wanda.
That's a good point.
No one understood it.
Just a quick synopsis. This is the one time synopses are needed when you're doing a movie like this. Yeah.
Yeah. Kenobi just did it. Literally, if anyone's seen Kenobi, and it's not a spoiler, I'm not going to spoil anything. If you've seen Kenobi, they do a prelude to catch you up because no one's seen the trilogies in fucking ages.
Yeah, it's almost been 20 years.
Yeah.
So
it would have served it. It would have served it just fine, and I think that they missed out on that.
And it's sad because Marvel's usually pretty good at that stuff. They usually are pretty good. Like, if you didn't catch the TV series, then fine, you can catch it on the movie. And you could have seen the TV series and it would have enriched you, but if you know everything you need to watch this movie.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That's the bad. is that first act and not really understanding how Wanda got to where she is, even though it makes sense plot-wise. What I do love about that movie is everything that happens after Wanda makes it to Kamartaj. It is the coolest fucking movie after that.
No holds barred kind of thing.
It is.
Yeah.
First of all, if you really didn't have a grasp for Wanda's power as the Scarlet Witch from WandaVision, you definitely get it in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, she does not hold back.
Definitely get
this
it.
One. And fucking Wong is... I really liked Wong in this movie. He was a lot of fun.
Did you? Yeah. I mean, he's consistently been the comic relief, yet also the voice of reason.
Yes.
And it's interesting to have him do both.
Sorcerer Supremes going on. So
yeah.
I like that aspect too.
Yeah, it's a fun power dynamic that they have at play too, because Strange desperately always wants to be in control of stuff, but Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme.
So he's like Sorcerer Supreme in spirit, and Wong's in a name at this point, which is kind of wacky kind of thing going on.
Yeah. But I loved all the horror elements and the gruesome elements. Sam Raimi's back at the helm for Multiverse of Madness, and he did Evil Dead, right? So he's got experience.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, he did Spider-Man 1 through 3 as well. Right. So he kind of, I think, especially if you've done Spider-Man 1 through 3, you know exactly what people don't like. At this point, there's a lot to love about the original Spider-Mans, but there's a lot to hate on too. But the movie was amazing. The horror elements, tell me you weren't gripping your seats when Wanda was making her way through the Illuminati, trying to get to Strange and America.
My friend Aditya, who's been on this podcast before, I was talking to him about that, and he said that part where she annihilates the entire Illuminati is just straight up like
it's the coolest shit.
It's the best because one, we get to see a bunch of cool cameos, and two, it's like Omni-Man destroying the
dude. That's exactly what it reminded me of.
Yeah, and so when my friend said that, I'm like, oh my god, you're totally right.
Yeah, you know what it means though for the universe that happened. It's so much cooler that people have really taken that scene and been kind of little bitches about it. I'm not going to lie. People have been like, oh, they cast John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic just to kill him in a second. They brought back Peggy Carter as,
just to kill him. Yeah.
Just to kill him. And people are upset by this. I see this as an absolute win.
Yeah.
And let me say why. Everyone, whether they want to admit it or not, loves to see a character die for a lot of reasons. The most primary one being that it means no one's safe.
Yeah.
Right? There are stakes now.
It's relatable, honestly.
It's relatable. Now there's tension in fights. Your character could die. Bro, I've never walked into a Marvel film thinking that someone's going to die.
That's what made Tony Stark's death so much more... Because no one knew, at least from what I remember, no one knew that was going to happen.
Well, they fake deathed him in Infinity War when Thanos stabs him. Bro, I remember hearing the whole theater shriek when Thanos stabbed him with his own, weapon. I was like, it was a moment. And now we're bringing in all these cool characters, these great cameos, these A-list actors, and they don't have to be here to stay. We might just kill that dude, And honestly, to me, that's excellent because characters who can't die, like Black Panther in his suit, invincible. Captain Marvel, invincible. Although how she gets crushed by a I'm not sure I like the way she died.
I was surprised by how she got killed so easily. Yeah. She's supposed to be have the power of a super engine.
Yeah.
And her body can sustain it, and just a normal human body.
Yeah. So she got headbutted by Thanos, and all you heard was clunk. So it's I'm not sure I understand.
I thought that was a symbol of she hasn't she still has a lot of potential, because I thought that whole scene was trying to lay her up to be the next Captain America in terms of in spirit, because she kind of I thought she was going to get more responsibility after that.
We're talking about Captain Marvel or Captain or
Captain
Peggy
Marvel,
Carter?
But in the terms of Captain Marvel, not Peggy Carter, but in terms of when she fights Thanos.
Yeah. You saw it as a room of growth. I see.
As a room of growth, and also the potential for something bigger to happen with her character, but I guess that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Here's what I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Is I can't even refer to him as his real name because I only know him by characters nowadays. It seems like.
Go for it.
Picard, man, is freaking this guy. What's his name? Patrick Stewart. Is Patrick Stewart too old?
For what?
Just period, bro. Just is it time for him to kind of
That's why he's wrapping things up.
Is he wrapping things up though?
Yeah.
Because
that's why Picard is done after this season.
Okay, all right.
Picard's done after this season. He even said like, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
After this. Like he's even like what he's done in the series so far.
Yeah.
He's put everything in a bow. He's actually like addressed his character's trauma. I think he just did the Marvel like cameo for fun. Because I also feel this new wave of Marvel is just cleaning up as much as they can the things that were left untouched or unfixed. Like with No Way Home, they brought back old Spider-Man. They gave Andrew Garfield such a healing scene where he caught that girl.
Oh, amazing. That was my favorite.
Because I loved him. I really did. I was so sad when I didn't see him continue on. And they gave Toby a chance to redeem himself. They were able to fix some wounds that were very apparent in our childhood. And I feel like that's what he's trying to do. Because like Professor X did some fucked up shit in the movies. Like he did even more fucked up shit in the comics. And in the movie, like he even like takes a dead man's body and just like reclaims it as his own.
He takes a lot of liberties in the name of like righteousness, right?
In the name of like, and if I was in that situation, I mean, I don't know. I consider that too, probably, but because he had a whole like swath of new humans to kind of help and watch out for. So I'm not saying it's good, but I get it.
Yeah.
So I think he's in his 80s. He's the dude's a rock star. I love him. He's
legend.
Still in there. Like he's legend, still in therapy. He was 40 when he did Next Generation.
That has got to be the oldest looking young guy I've ever seen in my life.
Right? Like he also like was crunching like barbells and stuff when he was there was a picture. It's a bit fat shaming, but like they show pictures of like all the captains, Shatner, Janeway, him, and they're all just like setting up there, and all of them are like old and everything, and he's the oldest, I think, under Shatner, and he just like has triceps for days. Bro, it's ridiculous.
He's low-key attractive. He was low-key
attractive. Dude, he is attractive, dude. Like
they gave him a gratuitous episode with his shirt off once.
Yes, yeah, especially with the one with the pajamas where he gets like transported down.
No, but
had the chest hair,
or with the chest hair, yeah. Dude, when he would wear his robe and he'd be like, "Oh, Beverly, I wasn't expecting you," and he'd be like, "Fucking Earl Grey, hot."
enjoy some tea, enjoy some wine, and then my brother.
Yeah. Oh my god, bro. I mean, it's a vibe. Yeah,
I love him. Is like because he's such a great role model for a guy for me in a lot of ways. In terms of his emotions, he admits that like he will probably admit that he has a lot of place to grow. But he's strong, intelligent, commanding, but is not oppressive. He is very much like he's very inclusive. Even though he does make mistakes, he tries his best to learn from them. He's always trying to like show this level of optimism after all of the terrible things that happened to him. There's a great line in Picard in the first season where it's like, yeah, like these are happening, these things are happening. He's like, all we have to do is just work on our levels of healthy optimism and learning about each other. Like this is not the end. This is just us getting overwhelmed by emotion.
Yeah.
I love him for those reasons. I could go on and on.
Yeah, no doubt. Dude, we could go on about a million different topics. I want to do this again with you, bro.
I would love that. I seriously would love that. I'm not just saying that for posterity, for kindness and everything. But thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man. This is a blast.
Awesome. Well, that's it for us today, guys. Andrew Diaz. Check him out. We'll put his stuff in the notes. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hey, fan peeps. Thanks for listening, and I'd love any feedback you have for me. Please follow the Facebook page, They Need a Hobby, and follow us everywhere, social media-wise, under the handle @TNAHpod. That goes for Twitter and Instagram, and one of these days, I'll be super popular.
Alexa, office lights to 50%.
And we're doing that.